This is day 855 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor coming share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. It'd be very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Simon Tuf Kuf and Aleph, Siv Gimel through Tes. Gimel. V'yosin Yered Lomar. I have a kasher Rebbe Seinu. It seems more likely to say that that it was difficult for the Rabbeim, in other words, the Rishonim, who didn't define what Memati Masimcha is. The Havakashal was saying so parak. We also learned this language of in the at the end of the first parak of Tinus, the Tanya B'Tanya Shok Shamim, in the fast for rains, B'Sheva Achronis in the last seven. This is what it says there in the Mishnah. Of Reil V'Lo Nanu, these fasts passed and they were not answered. Memati Mamasa Mata Vina, until we diminish the amount of commercial activity, construction, and planting. Kulei. But Tanya Shama learned it says there, Binyan Shel Simcha. Construction means construction which entails joy, like a house for one's imminently to be married children. Natiya Shel Simcha, similar idea, planting of Simcha. Aycham. Chem Pasuk Ram Berak Yemod Tainis Din Ches. Aycham. V'yi Sakadak the Tisha B'av Shaveh B'Sat Tainis. If you're going to say Tisha B'av is like those fasts, Lamashin Sa Mishnah Bil Shoina. Why the Mishnah changes language? The B'Tainis Pirsha by Tainis it specifies specifically what you diminish. But Tisha B'av Lo Amar Rakamati B'Simcha. But Tisha B'av didn't specify, just that generically you diminish Simcha. It must see that they're not the same in terms of commercial activity. In terms of the rain fast, they're also in commercial activity. Like the Mishnah concludes there, like people who are being held in cherem by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because they daven and were not answered. So this is only relevant to a new travail, such as lack of rain. So Tisha B'Av not relevant to Tisha B'Av, the Tzar Yoshan, which is an old travail, and an old mourning. So not relevant to say that we are now in Cherem. Why should we forbid upon ourselves commercial activity if there's no simcha involved? It must say that commercial activity is mutter during the 9 days. The Kavana Masa Mata Shel Simcha or Binyan Tia Shel Simcha, and that which is it's in Yavamas it says not to be involved oneself in the commercial activity. That's only about commercial activity of Simcha, and Binyan Tia Shel Simcha and construction and planting of Simcha. Ma Masa Mata Shel Simcha. What is the definition of commercial activity of Simcha? Such as buying garments for the chassan of the kala, or atzmo going for for oneself to buy expensive garments to buy or to sew. It's not like commercial activity to fast. We are in fact careful not to buy special clothes. And according to this, our minhag not to abstain from commercial activity like the rest of the any more than we do the rest of the year is sustained. The Rakati says, those commentaries who want to draw a parallel between this commercial activity and the commercial activity of the rain fast. And so that's the Milisa, Ayin Sham. Lochin das Rifa Ramba Varosh, however, the Rifa and Ramba Varosh is not all that way. Feel low to Chul Askir Zed, that's why you didn't have to mention this. Kamish Kasim Matim Simcha, since they wrote that we diminished Simcha, Kol mean Simcha. That includes all types of Simcha as opposed to generic commercial activity, etc. Now, base, from Rosh Chodesh at Tainis, from Rosh Chodesh until the fast, we diminish commercial activity and construction of simcha. No, such as building a new house for the wedding of one's son, or constructing new decoration of plastering and molding, or planting of simcha, such as an ornamental garden, which you plant for shade, to shelter and shade. Only a das or a garden for fragrances or spices, lim and all types of aloes. Female coastline no telipo if your wall was about to fall down. I feel show simcha mutal even knows. Even because there's simcha involved, you're allowed to build it. I call it shuttle. Feel like a dying sakana matias because even there's no imminent danger yet in the walls inclinations of fall. Yeah, have same moment, but there's going to be a loss of money if you don't deal with it immediately. Mutter is permissible. Ubaro b'kamanasam skir. What they mean the kamanasam al kol masam matan the asur. They clearly hold that all commercial activity is asur. Not like we said in the Rambam and the Rosh, etc. Shaya masam matan lokos l'shel simcha. They didn't write masam matan l'shel simcha. They didn't write simcha the binyan kayat arvayu. The way I read it before, however, is like the Ein Lomar over here. He says you can't say that Shel Simcha where it's going which it says on construction. It's also going back on commercial activity. Can't have Lomar go masa matan shel chuppah. So then it should have said commercial activity of chuppah. Commercial umrah binyan based chasnas, like it said about construction of a house for a chasna. The Shabura says the Biur Halacha, the Sha'ar Tziyun, that any commercial activity is also if there's a fair going on, so it's possible it's a davar of it. As mutter no matter what, if you find if there is a bargain which you can find that time, and even if it's a commercial activity of simcha, it's possible that if there's a bargain, it's permitted. Our day and age, we are makel in all this because everything is considered for us for a part and parcel of our essential parnasa. From the Magen Avraham, it seems that the commercial activity of simcha should be curtailed. From the Taz, it sounds like the minhag is to be makel because you might not be able to prepare those needs for the chasna later on, especially machmer if you can. Somebody who is doing commercial activity with silver or things for chuppah, you're only allowed to sell to a non-Jew. So his parnasa is by music, but by a non-Jew in he does play by music for non-Jews in their parties. So for the parnas, it's permitted. The Chaim sounds like that. There is only, however, Shiva Sab Thomas the Rosh Chodesh, but not afterwards. I believe the minhag is to make a parnasa even afterwards as well. Back to the brackets here. Arukh HaShulchan Magen Avraham Sikon Zayin Shkasa Dal Simcha the Shal Simcha Kai Gama Masa Matan. Avraham does read that simcha going also on commercial activity. Chuppah, like the needs of chuppah and sham. Mashkas Shem Beis Yosef Bach. That which he writes in the name of Beis Yosef Bach. Inu Minaga Olam Kos Mumasha Lo Nagu Bezek Mashkasavnu. Not sure what he's referring to, but in any event, he's rejecting that proof of the Magen Avraham. Lo Diber Tur Shenk Diber Shulchan Aruch Ayin Sham Beduk. See there, and you will be able to infer this appropriately. Hey, Yesh Mishkas B'Lashon Zeh. There is someone who wrote as follows: Welcome Shinogu Isab Chol Ma'aseh Maton, place where all commercial activity is restricted. Tzarich HaTorah, you need to be matir neder in order to engage in commercial activity. Welcome Shinogu Mai B'Chol Ma'aseh Maton, place where diminished commercial activity. Lo Mahani HaTorah. You can't be matir neder. Kim Yesh Pasal Sorin Kach Kvar Kiblu was saying Kadas Ha'u. So he says that to refrain altogether from commercial activity, that you can be matir neder because that's not a ikar minhag. But to diminish commercial activity, you can't be matir neder because that is an ikar minhag. That's Magen Avraham. Klamar da'ator lo mani el dvarim mutarim b'acherim no go b'em iser. Torah only works with things which are permitted, but some people have conducted themselves as if it's prohibited. Mashkasa yodeh siman reish yudal. For lo b'dvarim shemedina also not things where it is actually according to the letter of the law forbidden. I can't go makom shnogu isur legamri maso maton lo mahani Torah. Wait a minute, says Arukh HaShulchan. But that's the case in place where they forbade commercial activity altogether. It should not be able to be matir neder. Sheigam b'zeyer soming kach. There are people who hold that way. They came from the Tosfos Megillah. The Tosfos Megillah Daf Hey says that shkosu l'matim ba'al korchoch, that you diminish, you're compelled to diminish, completely. The Elam Masharak b'ribui also are miuchari. You can't say that this means only a lot is also, but a little bit is mutar. Davle farish kamu amiyot. You should explain then what the small amount is that is permissible in sham. Yishakos was there a simcha, even though they wrote this on simcha, not on maso maton. It applies to commercial activity just as much. L'chein kosu shan maso maton who shows simcha and sham. L'chein kosu Shana Masa Matan Shal Simcha. That's why the word that Masa Matan is of Simcha. Not sure exactly what he means of that, but that he does inside. Hafi divrei Taisus Taisus B'Masham Shedocha Peiruzeh Pirsha Kol Masa Matan Kai. Well, actually, I think it means like this. That they're talking about Masa Taisus and Megillah says that only Masa Matan Shal Simcha is Aser, but it's Aser, not that it's diminished. Hafi divrei Taisus B'Masham Shedocha Peiruzeh Pirsha Kol Masa Matan Kai Ayin Sham, but Taisus B'Mash rejects Taisus and Megillah and says that all commercial activity is Aser. Certainly completely forbidden. This is the case. The Tana includes this commercial activity in binyan and tea of simcha, also, which are completely forbidden. That which says when you vomit, the ribu masa matar kasar, that a large amount of commercial activity is also ein sham. Vare kenhu, liknos to court sochel nefesh to salayla. Of course, you have to can't ask all commercial activity. You have to buy and sell food for the meals. Pshita v'tainis. Pshita tainis sham. I would say about it's not even 9 days. So this is tainesim, tainios of the rain, and of course you can't ask all commercial activity. Some it has to be mutter. Pshita tainis sham shem shiva yamim, and that's obvious. We're talking about the 7 days of fast. How's it possible not to do some commercial activity in for eating and drinking, etc.? That's what he says, diminish. But actual commercial activity, not to do with food, it's not permitted at all. And accordingly, that which you say that from time up begins, you diminish the simcha. Would be for completely usher. Well, actually, it has to, what he means is can't. No, I take it back. It means there has to be some limitation on the prohibition because in Kenim no ben zachar smach. If you have a male son, when you have to make a bris milah or sham zachar, you're not going to be happy. Or balo is a b'sura tova, or some good news comes to you, or viach mos, or you made money in some way. You can't have that simcha at all. Rather, you diminish the simcha. So a person can do oshalasos or not do. In other words, things which are optional. So too by commercial activity in actual commerce. But that which is also together. So he says that according to commercial activity, if it's beyond those obvious necessities, is also altogether. Because otherwise, there's this question stands: what is the minimum? What is the small amount which is mutter? Arukh HaShulchan comes across actually more machmir than Magid Avraham. He says it doesn't matter whether it's a minhag in the place to diminish or a minhag in the place to forbid. You can't be matir neder. Wow. Bracket says, "Emma Shemagid Avraham holach b'shitas beisayis sivra gadol sheches tos libnei budin shasu masu matan." Magid Avraham is going with the opinion that the prohibition to forbid all commercial activity is a mistake. Because he's writing. No matter what, Ila Taisus Megillah and Ila Simcha. If we're going to Taisus and Megillah Shita, it's only Masa Matan of Simcha. If Taisus Yivamas Harakim Mati, Mayan Sham. According to Taisus Yivamas, we only diminish the Malacha, the Masa Matan. When he is right, ain't no king, what should be on him? Arukh HaShulchan says that's not the pshat, because he learns in Taisus Megillah that we ask for everything when it comes to, we would ask for everything when it comes to commercial activity. Vav, Kasam Mariel. Bizman is that, like Mishnah Berurah said, I don't think we diminish commercial activity except if it's actually outright simcha. Vav, Kasam Mariel, Shasurim, Lo Yisuk, Lekesel, Lesar Ser, Be'ir, Mersh Chodesh, they should simply who are rowing. Mariel says that the broker should not carry in public silver vessels to broker in the city from a Chodesh because it causes joy to the people who see it. I guess it's like window shopping. Sharatzian says, yeah, it should not be in public. Any construction which is only for expansiveness, In other words, it's not essential. Havi kabinyan shel simcha also, it's like a construction simcha is forbidden. Gama ide any hudi also. Even to non-Jew is forbidden. So simcha you love. Final analysis, it is simcha. V'mikol mashchoresh katzatzi mheni hudi al binyan shel simcha, or al tir v'chir, if before shchoresh you made a deal with a non-Jew to build something which has to do with simcha, or adorning your house. Mutanichol inside, basically allow him to put in sculptures and molding in your house. Then you the the fact that he comes in 9 days, that's his personal decision. Nevertheless, if you can persuade him with some minimal outlay to wait after Tisha B'Av, you should do that. And you will be blessed. Vav, Kasra Ben Ramah, the Tzorch Mitzvah Koshrei. Ramah writes for a person, mitzvah, everything is mutter. What's a mitzvah? Come up in Yone, Akal Shono. Come up in Yone, Beis HaKnesset, Beis HaMedrash. Build a shul, Beis HaMedrash. You call Tzorch Rabbi mutter. Shulchan has that anything which is the need of the masses is mutter. Called Tzorch Rabbi and Tzorch Mitzvah. Anything which need the masses, like the need of mitzvah. It's just because of those who write, who are deemed base castles from Mishlo Kim Pir of Rivia to build a new house for people, a person who was never married before. Came going to Chadash, also new clothing. Tzorch Nusun, Mutter Mishlo Kim Rivia. By get new clothing with somebody who was never married before. So we have Ram. Not only this, you're allowed to even get married if somebody who's never married before. That which people don't get married during these days, it's not because it's awesome, but because it's not a good sign to get married in these bad days. Not because it's prohibited. The Ran writes in Rav Eigon when it comes to the rain fast. The fact that Ramah wrote this leniency only about work and not about marriage. Comes out that getting married is also no matter what before Tisha B'Av. But it's possible there's also the issue of the not Simon. That's why for Shiva Sorah Tammuz we don't get married either. According to this, it comes out it's okay that which people prepare the clothing of Chas and college during these days, as long as they don't actually get married. And he says even if you're compelled to get married during these days, in other words, from Shiva Sorah Tammuz. Until because it's only a Simon Ra issue, but not during the week in which Tisha B'Av takes place. Also, you don't get married from Rosh Chodesh. I guess not just the week Tisha B'Av comes out, but also from Rosh Chodesh without a Suda. Echa Bachar or Basula or Amon Amon, first time or second time. But the returning divorcee near the mutter, it's permitted. But to get engaged without a meal is mutter. Even Tisha B'Av you can propose. So somebody else should not precede you. So Suda also, but to make a meal for the engagement, that's also. Does that feel a makkah mitzvah also? That's also even a makkah mitzvah. Yearly the avagav the niyachol amoyin is why we're seeing talk from above. So it's everything ain't also but shas everything basic kala. Remember chomoy, it's only also to make the vote or whatever at the time of the engagement and in the house of the kala, not on a different day, not a different place. Come calling on this. Also here it's also no matter what. The b'shama time mishum day marvin simcha simcha. There the issue is you don't mix the simcha of the chas and the kala with the simcha of scholamoy. So then when it's not the actual time that's taking place, so basically it's not a Kal's house, it's not considered such a simcha that it cancels the simcha of the yontif. But here, coming simcha also, when any type of simcha is also during the 9 days, simcha also is also clearly simcha and would be forbidden. I feel simcha near the also, even the happiness, the celebration of the conviviality of friends getting together, it seems to be also during 9 days. But then Shidduchin, it's later with this Kashem Rosh Chodesh Alon. By us, we don't do Erusin separately from these two, but we do Shidduchin, separate from Erusin, and from Nisuin. Mutis Kashem Rosh Chodesh Alon, you can make that, it's annoying, whatever, even the vort from Rosh Chodesh Alon, I will blow suit, but not with a meal. Chodesh Game Below Kudim Chodesh, so something without dancing and and frivolous behavior. The Shabbos says that which you eat confections at the time of eating, making the time, that's not called a suda. So you can have um, cake and coffee for sure. Um, uh, uh, but the field Shabbos also has a suda b'shul say. Even Shabbos 9 days, to make a suda for this purpose. Film Zion Thomas also couldn't be close. Even from Shul Sarah Thomas, you're not allowed to have the dancing and frivolous behavior. Moshe Onogim Lichli Lasos. They assume Yeshiva Sarah Thomas on Chatishbav. We have just like we have meaning not to make chasnas from Shiva Sarah Thomas until after Tishbav. Lo dam mitzvah smila and pidyan ben shum. It's not like a brismila or pidyan ben which is permitted. That's my grandma. That's the time. The guy name is a simcha. It's also not a big simcha. The ain't simcha yoni zivurim. It's only a simcha in matters of shidduchim. Shalem avarchim shasimcha ono when we make the give the place of Kosh Baruch Hu that simcha in his abode. And call shaykh l'zeh aherusim. Kishur etnaim have a simcha v'lo mila pidyan ben. Interesting. Anything which is shaykh to getting married, the shidduchim and the tanoim, that's considered part of the simcha, but not with true simcha, but not mila and pidyan ben. Test. Amr Chazal v'tayin sham. Chazal say the high bari so this dina bahade ain't a Yehudi. A Jew has a court case of non-Jew. He should try and get out of it the entire month of Av. The rare mazel b'chol chodesh. Bad mazel the entire month. Umila shimi Rosh Chodesh at Tisha B'av. Bris milah we're from Rosh Chodesh at Tisha B'av. Nogim shamo Baal Bris shu sandak. The custom is that the moil and the Baal Bris, which means the sandak and the Aviyah Ben and the father of the child, lo shimi they Shabbos wear Shabbos clothing. Avashar Bali kibunim, but other people get kibunim. I feel a kvater. The people carry the child to the bris. Ain't lo shimi they Shabbos. You don't wear Shabbos clothes. Achanoshim noagos kivosh v'shizel ikar mitzvah shalem. Asher lo shos begodim mikarim v'chodam milah. Interesting. Women that their ikar mitzvah is to wear fancy clothes, and therefore they should wear fancy clothes. All the women, evidently, who are participating in the bris milah. The Sharatzian says the Rabbah says that the kvatrin are like the Baal Bris, and therefore they can wear special clothing even during the 9 days.